Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today's going to be a very brief episode here. I'm going to go over my situation with my 4xe recall and some items here that are possibly going to affect most California drivers, especially us guys that like to use our Jeeps and our off-road vehicles for recreational purposes, where we're going to be paying a lot more money at the pump. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and unpack this for you guys. Welcome back. Straight to the meat and potatoes, guys. I called my dealership the other day, maybe like 2 or 3 days ago, asking about the status of the recon. They said that, okay, yeah, just bring it in. We're going to do a software update. And now I understand how the software updates work. I know in my previous videos I had pointed out, what does a software update have to do with a hardware issue? Well, the thing is, the software update is just to train the computer, if you may, to sense if there's anything wrong with the battery. So say I take it in, they do a software update, and I bring it back home. That software update is going to allow the vehicle to communicate more effectively or efficiently with the battery in case there's some type of short that software detects in the actual hardware of the battery. Something is going to happen in that Jeep and that whole system, which is above my head, right? It's that big brain stuff. Something's going to happen, I guess, to make it a little bit safer, so that I guess it doesn't go into full catastrophic blow-up mode or something like that. All right, or if it detects an anomaly there that's not supposed to be there by design, it'll shut down communication connection, shut off voltage, or some crazy stuff like that. That is my understanding of that software update. So it's not to fix the issue, it's to help detect in case the issue does come up of a fire or something. You could mitigate it, and hopefully your vehicle doesn't catch fire. So correct me if I'm wrong, guys, if I'm maybe explaining it wrong or something, but that's my understanding so far. Another thing too, when I called the dealer, they did say it was going to be a software update, and they're also going to test the battery, which if you look at Jeeps on the Run's YouTube channel, and also 4xe fans, they took it in, they did their testing and everything. You know, I think Jeeps on the Run, he was placed in a loaner, and 4xe fans, he took his Jeep home and everything. And he's getting some messages on forum and whatnot. But going back to that, taking it into the dealership, my dealer said if they find something wrong with the battery, doesn't pass the test because it's a safety issue, the Jeep has to stay there. What do I risk there? Okay, coming back home without another Jeep, right? I do have other vehicles here, but I do use that Jeep for content creation on my other YouTube channel. So I need it, okay? If I leave the Jeep there, nothing promises me that I'm going to get a loaner vehicle, because I have read online and seen some YouTube videos that some dealerships are not honoring the order from Stellantis to put people affected by this recall into loaner vehicles if they need to keep the 4xEs at the dealership. You know, so there are a few dealerships out here near me, all within like 30 miles radius, you know, so I have about 3 of them that I could take it to. But again, that's just me driving dealer to dealer, you know, calling them on the phone, asking them if they provide loaners. And you know how dealerships work. They're going to tell you one thing over the phone. You show up, it's going to be something completely different. So I'm trying to avoid all that, okay? So that's my dilemma right now, all right? And another thing, refineries here in California closing. That means we could possibly end up paying more at the pump to enjoy our recreational vehicles outdoor. All right, so let's take you guys to a few of these articles right here. So I'm sure you guys heard the news, right? Phillips 66, it's one of the oldest refineries in California. And they are set to shut down operations by pretty much the end of this quarter here, right here. Facility expects to cease operations in the 4th quarter of 2025. All right, and that is located out in Los Angeles. And another one near where I live in Benicia. You guys have heard of Valero gas stations, which is operated by Valero, of course. So Valero is actually taking a $1 billion loss to pretty much get out of the state of California. You know, it's like paying a ransom almost to get away, to escape, right? And it makes you wonder why big refineries are doing these things. You know, reason is California makes it damn near impossible to do anything that has to do with petroleum in this state without regulation upon regulation upon regulation. So much so that even Chevron, if you guys notice here in California, pay attention to the signs outside the gas stations at Chevron. I saw this in some dude's YouTube video yesterday, an off-road video, nothing to do with this issue, right? But it was just randomly there as he was panning his adventures. But this pink sign right here, California has the highest gas taxes and fees in America. And same thing on this one, this red section right here, California lawmakers are driving up gas prices. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist here, guys, but it really makes you wonder where all this money is going to. You know, I know it originally started with they were going to increase the gas tax for us to improve California roads. They did that. We started paying more for gas a few years ago, and California roads are, for lack of a better term, still shit. Where is that money going? Then they said they're going to increase the DMV registration fees to cover the repair of California roads, while still paying that that extra gas tax, right? So now we're being taxed twice. Where is that money going? Because the roads are still shit. And it makes you want to dig in a little bit more, you know? So lately, California has been under the magnifying glass. If you guys are familiar with the California State Retirement Fund, they lost 71%, $468 million. You know, they put that into clean energy. So all these people that work for the state that are relying on that pension, that retirement, they are short $468 million bucks. What that fund is supposed to do is you're supposed to treat it like investor money to grow it. The exact opposite happened here for whoever was messing with the people's money. Okay, so just imagine these politicians out there who are digging into everything you worked hard for. You know, you're expecting to retire at the age of 65, 70, whatever, and you're relying on these elected officials to do the right thing and take care of your future, your best interest. Well, now that much money is gone. So when you turn 65 and you work for the state of California, I believe it's CalPERS or something like that, or Caltrans. CalPERS right here, pension benefits. 79% funded, leaving the state and its taxpayers on the hook for the other 21%, according to a recent report from Reason Foundation. CalPERS pension shortfall is approximately $180 billion. These guys are just dumping money into their pet projects. It's no wonder people assume that politicians have friends in high places. You have CEOs of companies, of contractors that win contracts by the state to do all this homeless freaking housing crap, this high-speed rail. You know, it already went over budget, and the deadline keeps going further and further, and they just keep adding more money. They've barely done anything with it. You know what I mean? It's just crazy that this is happening, and voters, residents are okay with it. You know what I mean? If this were, say, some white collar company CEOs, private company stuff, and they see this type of writing on the walls, you know, you better believe that government's going to step in and do something about it, and people might go to jail for it. But because it involves politicians, we all know that nothing's going to happen. You know, so that's very unfortunate because we pay for it. Right? There are people out there living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet. They're working a second job literally just to be able to drive to their job and back and possibly pay for childcare and healthcare and whatnot. Doing this is going to make it that much harder for people. So you're taking money away from them. People are going to have to get second jobs just to keep fuel on their vehicles. All right? Not to mention you're going to cut into their food fund, their rent, their utilities, whatever. You know, because that money is going to come from somewhere. And unlike the state of California, us taxpayers here, we can't just siphon money from another source and divert it somewhere else and say, boom, see, problem fixed. Sorry, I hit the mic there. Because we are the ones coming up with this money. We are the ones paying the taxes. We are the ones paying the politicians. You know what I mean? And they're playing with our money. It doesn't hurt them. Why? Because we're going to keep paying them. If we keep paying them, it's all good to them. If we don't keep paying them, shit, we'll go to jail. You know what I mean? So I wish it worked both ways, guys. You know, and again, this is me being a conspiracy theorist, but this is just, man, how can I put it? It seems obvious almost, all right? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. And here's another one, all right? The whole 911 system, a new 911 system is supposed to be the latest and greatest. They've been working on it for 6 years now. I think it costs about $450 million, or they've dumped $450 million into it so far. Here you go. Boom. And guess what they did? They scrapped it. Trash. Let's start from scratch again, you know? So it's just a shame, guys. It's a mismanaged state at the expense of the taxpayers, and the people managing the state still keep their jobs. You know, it's just it's a rant. You know, I'm not the only one that feels this way. I wish I was wrong. You know, I love this state. It's a beautiful state. You have awesome off-road destinations out here, from deserts to forests to beaches. You name it, we have it all. You know, it's just very unfortunate that we have so much red tape, regulation, and politicians, you know, and not just from one side, it's from two sides. You know, we vote people in. That's why we have, like, supposed to have a balance in there. But it's just, you know, they're part of the same coin, I guess. You know, they're supposed to start looking out for the best interest of the voters, not for their self-interest. Thank you for tuning in again, guys. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to leave a comment below. Keep the conversation going. You know, it doesn't have to agree with what I say, but I just want to keep it going to get more information. And don't forget to subscribe. I do have another YouTube channel that's dedicated solely for my off-road adventures and some product reviews and whatnot. All right, it's not just Jeep 4xe. I had a ZR2 and a Silverado Trail Boss as well that I had when that channel first started. All right, guys, so thanks again. I will see you guys on the next one.